Well, there is growing tension between Governor DeSantis and the Florida Legislature after lawmakers went against Governor DeSantis' proposed immigration bill and passed a bill of their own.
Dubbed the Trump Act, the legislature's bill allocates more than $500 million to help law enforcement on immigration, increases the penalties for undocumented immigrants who commit crimes, requires the death penalty for any undocumented immigrant who commits a capital offense, and ends in-state tuition for undocumented students.
Now, the bill also gives immigration oversight to the Agriculture Commissioner, not the governor.
Governor DeSantis has vowed to veto it.
So under their bill, the massive numbers of illegals in Florida will remain. You are not going to see a meaningful dent in that. You either want to solve the problem or you don't.
We're joined now by Republican State Representative Juan Carlos Porras of Miami. Thanks so much for being with us tonight. Representative Porras, you've been vocal about Governor DeSantis' criticisms. He calls the Trump Act weak. Tell us why you disagree with that and how it differs from the governor's proposal.
Lauren, Elliott, thank you so much for having me. And as you saw, there's nothing weak about this bill. We're focusing on three quintessential issues in this bill. That's bed, badges, and catching the bad guys. Like you said, there's over $500 million to help our local law enforcement and make sure that we're working with the Trump administration on enforcing illegal immigration policies, not becoming an impediment or an obstruction on the president. And unfortunately, what we're seeing here with the governor is that we're not including him in this conversation because of that lack of transparency and accountability, being a bureaucrat over an elected official. And unfortunately, a lot of this just stems to him wanting to have all authority over issues that really have nothing to do with his office as a governor.
Representative, I have a two-part question here. First of all, isn't immigration a federal responsibility? Why is the legislature not getting involved in immigration issues? And also, how do we get to the point where the Republican-controlled legislature is taking on the Republican governor so forcefully after years of working in lockstep with each other?
Elliot, that's a fantastic question. You know, the state legislature and our voters elected us to work on property insurance, to work on condominium and HOA reform, not to tackle illegal immigration. But unfortunately, the governor, out of his own willing, called a special session to mandate us to meet over this issue. And we did just that. We passed one of the largest, most conservative, pro-Trump pieces of legislation in our state's history, but nothing is enough for the governor. And to answer the second part of your question, you know, I think for the past 6 years, we haven't had the proper leadership to really stand up to the governor. He's used the legislature as a bully pulpit to fuel his future political runs for president or what have not. But I'm proud to say that we do have real leadership in the House now under Speaker Danny Perez, and hopefully we want to come to a collaboration with the governor. We want to pass and solve these issues, but unfortunately we're still waiting on that phone call, and he hasn't been willing to even discuss solving any of these problems with us.
And really quickly, you mentioned that the people of Florida elected these representatives to, you know, get things done for the state. Specifically, you mentioned, you know, homeowners insurance and issues like that. Should these voters, your constituents, be concerned that those issues won't be tackled because of this, you know, disconnect between the legislature and the governor's office?
Yeah, I can promise you, at least in our capacity as the House and the Senate, we're going to get back to work on the real issues. I know for a fact that Speaker Perez and myself personally, I am laser focused on providing a solution for our property insurance. And more importantly, you know, I represent the area of Southwest Miami-Dade, of Kendall and the hammocks. So what I fight every single year to bring some legislation for our homeowners that are struggling with their condos and their corrupt HOAs. So there's going to be new legislation that I'm working on already. But, you know, I do think we'll come back to normalcy at some point. I don't think this feud, I would imagine, will last forever. But we have to stand our ground. You know, there is a separation of powers for a reason. The Constitution gives equal power to the executive and the legislative branches. So we're not just going to stand down on this, guys, and then we're going to make sure that we have the best possible solution for all Floridians and making sure that we have good policy moving forward.
All right, getting back to normalcy is something many of us would like to see. State Representative Juan Carlos Porras, thank you so much for joining us on this Sunday.
Thank you.